Shariff, he's our first speaker, and he's here to talk about what can be done and also about his own experiences. So as was mentioned, he is a dual US-Egyptian citizen. He is a former Egyptian army officer, and he's been an outspoken critic of the Egyptian regime. He has a YouTube channel, which I urge everyone to check out. I'm sure he can give us the details. Now, he traveled to Dubai, he'll tell you in more detail himself, towards the end of last year for a family visit, and was detained by the authorities after that visit. He's since been released, and he's here to speak to us today, so I'll hand the floor to him.
Hello? Okay. Hi, thank you for coming today. I'm Sharif Osman, Egyptian American. Been trying to get rid of the Egyptian thing for a while now, but the Egyptian government doesn't want to drop down my citizenship in order to maintain some kind of power over trying to ask for me, because I'm open critic. I was an Air Force captain. I graduated from military academy in '98, became a comm officer. Last places I served was the Cairo West Air Force Base. Before that, I was the Air Force headquarters. After that, I was the Presidential Air Force Base. I saw a lot that I didn't like. I didn't want to be part of that. I saw that we're all being enslaved by one big master, which is a president in a dictatorship. There is no decent way to quit my job. There is no decent way to resign from the military. It's considered an owned property by the government until they decide to release. So my only chance was going through exams, traveling abroad to do studies overseas and not come back. I went once in America. First time to America was in 2002, came back, made my decision by 2003. 2004, I was back again in another course, and I decided to desert as the only way out of that messed up country. Let's run forward with that. I've been a critic in opposition in my very, very small circle. Arabic Spring happened. I spoke out against the military. Egyptians were totally fooled into the idea that the army has supported the revolution and all that, not knowing that they actually have to do the revolution against the military regime, not just the tip of the iceberg at that time, which was Mubarak. I spoke out. I was criticized on TVs. They put their generals tearing me apart, defamation all day long. And by the reach of El-Sisi to power, I decided to just pull back. It's not worth it. It's another military regime. People are not ready with all the information. Went back to school. I did about 5 years at University of Texas in San Antonio, finishing my accounting degree. Again in 2019, I graduated, finding Muhammad Ali, which is a former contractor with the military, being a whistleblower and speaking out against the military. And at that time, I had a very, very strong case in my hand, which was the submarines that Egypt purchased, worth billions of dollars, and it involved the Israeli Prime Minister cousin, who owns the raw materials that the Egyptians were using to build those, or the Germans were using to build those to the Egyptians. Of course, there was a lot of problem in Israel regarding that. Everything is hushed down in Egypt as normal. I started being critic again. I was part of a formation. We decided to do some political activity in 2020, inviting people into a political move that can run in few years against El-Sisi in the next presidential elections, but we face the fact of funds and asking for funds from America that will be using foreign funds to try to bring down the government. So it was not the best idea, nor we had the time and the money to keep going, so we decided to end that in 21. Let's go back a little bit. I've been going to Dubai back and forth since 2014. I went there about 7-8 times, one time of which I was there for 8 months. Last visits to Dubai was 2016, 2019, 2020, and 2022 will be my last. According to what the persecutor, the chief of Interpol persecutor in Dubai, who spoke to me 2 days after my kidnap from the street, I was told that I have a written notice, Interpol written notice, which Interpol denied by the end of the month. So I was there I don't know under what law. We have a serious problem on top of the AIMC right now, which is the Interpol under an Arabic non-democratic president. A president of the Interpol right now is a corrupted police officer, according to the cases that is held against him in court right now in England. He has a history of torture and violation of human rights. I don't know why United Arab Emirates try to pour so many donations towards the foundation of the Interpol. Basically, it's the front body that accepts Interpol donations. According to the records, United Arab Emirates had poured so much money the 3 years prior to the election of that corrupted officer who became the president of the Interpol. And now the Interpol, on top of the AIMC, is being used as a tool in the hands of dictatorships to go after individuals with different narrative or opponents who are not on the same page of the rulers. We have Ahmed Arisi. I don't know why is he still the president up till today. He needs to step down immediately and unconditionally. He has been not conducting properly as the president of the Interpol, and he's gonna bring immediate shame to their faces all over the world. I'm not gonna be quiet about it. I'm not gonna be hushed about it. Before I didn't talk much about the Emiratis because my sister lives in Dubai, but now we're no longer brother and sister. I lost her to the ordeal that I went through. She was fearing for her family, fearing for herself. And by the time I was out of jail, she had already moved on with her mind and emotions, and not even knowing how many days I was jailed for. She was already busy with her life. So I really don't have anything to worry about now in the Emirates. I can speak out freely, not worrying about any family member to be touched, because I don't have any family members for the time being. We have two huge problems right now, AIMC and Interpol. Both are led by Arabic presidents. The AIMC since 2001 has been the same Saudi president as part of his control of the AIMC. Recently, AIMC has been acting very irresponsibly, attacking individuals all over the Arabic nations, 22 countries. The Arabic League had a meeting last month, 22 countries, 22 leaders standing on a stage, none of which are democratically elected. We should not tolerate the elections of any officer coming from a non-democratic state to lead an international body as important as the Interpol. Interpol can be a very, very useful tool if it's actually used in the right place, targeting criminals, money laundering, drug cartels, weapon industry who are running illegally. But at the same time, under a new Arabic president, it's now targeting individuals. I was kidnapped from the street among my family, leaving them helpless, not understanding what just happened before their eyes. My fiancée is from Finland, in a country that don't have really political issues to be an activist in any direction. It's all up to you because it's a democratic country. She'd never been to the Middle East before. She's never been in touch with the culture before. And that was the first time I was taking her to introduce her to my family before we get married, as we've been together already for a couple of years. So they stopped in Egypt my mom from traveling. I arrived to Dubai on November 4th. My mom was stopped from traveling on November 5th. My mom is a 72-year-old retired general doctor who is a veteran, disabled veteran, in a wheelchair. 72-year-old lady was pushed outside of the airport, denying her her right of transportation, which is one of the human natural rights. The day after, I was arrested on the 6th, and not really arrested, I was kidnapped. My phone was taken away from me. I was not allowed the right to speak to a lawyer, to the embassy, to my family, none of the above. Just thrown into the headquarters detention center, police, the Dubai police headquarters detention center. When they took me in, they put me at an Interpol room 3 men on Sunday, which is a day off, 3 men working on their computers, struggling with messages coming to them on WhatsApp, including my picture, which I saw as they were scrolling ups and downs. 2.5 hours cooking my case in front of me before I was told that there is an Interpol case against me. I was not allowed to talk to my family, to a lawyer, to the US Embassy or the consulate services. I was not allowed any connection with anyone for 2 days. On Tuesday, I met with a Dubai Interpol chief prosecutor. His name is Madani, Ismail Madani, who blocked me, told me in my face that I have a red notice on me at from the Interpol. This meeting was over Skype video meeting, and it's recorded. So there is a record of that. If they fear that I'm lying or anything, I'm giving them the legal rights to put out this video to public to try to, show how liar I am. Any try to tempt that will be faced in a very strong manner. So he told me straight in my face that I have an Interpol case. When I told him that's impossible, he said that Egypt has a warrant on me based on a case that it's on me since, 2019. And I told him that I haven't been to Egypt since 2004. So how come the Interpol should not be a political tool by any chance against the Egyptian regime? So if they're going to use the Interpol should only be for crimes. I didn't know anything about transnational repression at the point. I decided that I was fighting back and forth with him about the right of the Interpol actually to stop me, but he insisted on having what it takes to lock me up. We got into the communication. He was very respectful, but at the same time, I didn't like the whole narrative. He's lying to me, blocked me in my face, telling me that I have a case, and the word Interpol was very, very respected in my eyes before that day. I always looked at the Interpol as a very cool tool of going after bad people, and I think last movie I watched that had Interpol was Lucy. And had that case of an Interpol cop going around with an alien and all that good stuff. So it was, a fantasy world to me that Interpol is a very useful tool, very good people, but not under a non-democratic police officer to be on top of it. I don't know what compromises is the West given to the Arabs. I don't know what is going on. Donations should not be used in a way to twist laws and regulations. This will threaten all of us, and that's going to happen in the near future, because what is happening to me was impossible 5 years ago. So let's go back to the story. I was in that discussion with the chief of the Interpol, and then I was given case number 138-2022 Interpol case. They took me straight from that room. I was put in a police vehicle. They moved me to Dubai Central Jail, and they gave me my stuff that was checked in at the headquarters to check it in again in jail while I'm changing my clothes that I was taken from the street into the jail outfit. And I found my cell phone in my hand. Of course, I had the roaming service because I don't trust putting an Emirati network in my phone, because that's a straight spy on my phone. They have very bad history of using technology into spying on their political opponents. At that point, in my opinion, it was very hard for me to trust that. So I decided to turn on my phone while I'm changing my clothes. I put out a message to very good people, one of which was my fiance, my sister, and my friend. And then one of my best friends is a former national officer from Egypt, who actually is in the United States as well. He's a PhD in law. Once he heard about the news, once he heard the news online, the second day he was in DC meeting with his VIP friends that he knows out there. My friends started putting out the word on the internet. Luckily, I had very arranged campaign by very smart people, including Hisham and my fiance, who was the front lady for this whole campaign. Everybody was talking to her. Everybody wanted to help her out. she found herself helpless, but at the same time, so many good people were involved in that fight. At that point, just 1 second, let me bring up my screen here. Okay, so between the Interpol and Arabic Interpol, when the Emirati president came to, the Emirati president of the Interpol came to power, he said that the safety and security of Dubai has been something that they are very recognized with, and how safe and peaceful it is, and he will be able to bring that experience to the Interpol to make it a better organization. I don't believe that. I believe the Interpol, in my opinion, is being used as a tool of transnational repression. We are experiencing illegal and out of control activities by police states and non-democratic states that can be elevated to the stage of terrorism, straightforward terrorism, to hush people, to arrest people, to kidnap people, to kill people, to threaten people by their family members, doing whatever it takes to hush us down. Why? Because their most threat is the media, the press, what you guys are doing. When you put their names out with what they do, that's what scares them the most. 3 officials came to release me from jail. In 45-minute conversation, the word media was mentioned 4 times, 3 to 4 times. It is all about, we're not gonna do to you like what the media says. We're not gonna compliment you in a transaction with El-Sisi to complement your life in exchange for favors or business. We know that we are good allies with Egypt, but that doesn't mean we're gonna turn you in, blah, 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 like what the media says. So the word media was mentioned so many times in a manner that it shows how important to us to expose them. After I was taken to jail, 46 days, nobody to talk to. So many things, so many games are being played. Friends and family going after the Interpol. MENA rights, so many other people were communicating with the Interpol until the Interpol close to the end of November released a note that says, well, we have nothing between Interpol and Sharif. That night was the most horrible night in my life because my fiance talked to me on the phone and told me, hey, I have good news. There's nothing between you and the Interpol. They should release you anytime soon. I'm like, I'm not gonna be released. At this point, I'm officially kidnapped. I'm not gonna be released. And it actually took almost a month after that day to release me. But at that time, it seems like there is a lot of sync happening between AIMC and Interpol. They are working in harmony. There is the upper hand that can flip an Interpol case to an AIMC case overnight without further notice. I was not mentioned or didn't even hear about the AIMC until the end of November while I was in Dubai jail.
Sharif, thank you so much. Just a couple more minutes, a minute or so to wrap up, I think.
Okay, so as a wrap up, what we need to do to resolve this, in my own opinion, first of all, Al-Raisi needs to step down immediately and unconditionally. He should not be in that office. He should not be positioned that place from the beginning. He is a disgrace to anybody that will be attached with his name currently and in the near future even more. If you want to reform that, there should not be a police officer from a non-democratic state to become the president of the Interpol again. There are so many countries that are democratic with reputable, police officers who have no torture history on their sheet. And the way to do this is to only elect presidents to the Interpol and similar organizations only from democratic countries. None of the Middle Eastern countries, none of the Arabic countries should be part of that. Thank you.
I just have one question before you pass the mic over. Since you mentioned that he's Turkish citizen, what is the position of Turkey on his case?
I'll just answer quickly. There have been letters that have been written to the Turkish government asking for any information they have on behalf of the family so that the family can be updated. There haven't been an answer to those letters. One detail is that he did attend the Turkish embassy after his, as I mentioned before, he was arrested on the 7th of May, released, and then rearrested on the 8th of May. He attended the Turkish embassy on the 7th with worry about his situation, and unfortunately wasn't assisted in a way that helped protect against what ultimately did happen. So I do hope that there are more communications by the Turkish government with his family and to help protect him.
I have here a question from Dania Akkad for Sharif. And Sharif, that question is, I wondered if you could expand on your comment that the AIMC and Interpol are working in harmony. What do you mean by that? Can you offer any more details about why you believe that? And is it clear to you at this point which body triggered your arrest? I think we have a couple of minutes for that question.
So she wants an explanation on how they work in harmony together? Like, she wants further explanation on how they can work in harmony together?
Sorry, I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties with mics. Yes, essentially, can you offer any more details about why you think that's the case?
Of course. In my opinion, and from my own experience, first-hand experience, nobody told me about it. It's part of my life now that I lived as the old Sharif, since I'm a PTSD right now after such an experience. It all started as Interpol case. My case was never an AIMC case. I was never told anything about the AIMC. Interpol case is how it started like, is what they told me, is where they mugshot me was at the Interpol headquarters main office with a big logo, just like the one behind me back, but taking the whole wall, and it says Interpol headquarters, Dubai division or something like that. I can't remember the exact, because my head was all over the place, shattered from the news that I kept being hammered with for the 3 hours prior to that event. So when we put the lights on, when the media started talking about my case, the biggest media outlet was very surprising to me. It was Jerusalem Post out of Israel that were actually taking my position and trying to defend my position. I didn't see that coming, as Israel is very allies with Emirates and all that, but they have a better rights when it comes to freedom of expression or speech in their press and their news, and that's how we know much more about our original countries, is through their actual media. I'm not saying that I'm adapting to everything they say, but I'm just saying that they have what is more than just political to write down. So when that came out, and then after that, bigger media, Wall Street Journal and bigger media started jumping in. And then at that point, until the end of November, it was all bluntly Interpol case. At some point, that's when the Interpol stepped back and said, oh, no, this is not an Interpol. We don't have anything with Sharif. But that didn't come from Interpol of Dubai. That came from Interpol headquarters in Lyon, France. So at that point, that's when I knew that I was kidnapped. The second day, when they questioned the same prosecutor about my status, and he's like, oh, that's an AIMC case. So now we're looking at two Arabs on top of police organizations working together in harmony to arrest individuals who have a different narrative than their leaders and try to bring him in jail. It doesn't matter what where you're at, what you're doing, what your life is like. They don't care about families, don't care about tearing down families or killing people or throwing people in jails. There are tens of thousands of Egyptians in jail right now, and nobody's taking care of them. Nobody can help them out. Even Ala, who's a British citizen, the British government have been pushing for the past couple of years for his immediate release due to the lack of anything regarding his detention for 9 years. Yet it is still not working. As of today, as I'm speaking right now, the Turkish government, that's why I asked the nice lady sitting next to me right now about what is Turkey doing to the Turkey citizen. Turkey government right now has been arresting individual Egyptians who are not part of a political group or an Islamic political group or a political organization has been, not randomly, I'm sorry, has been arresting and targeting them, putting them in jails to complement the visit of Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the dictatorship of Egypt, visit to Turkey on July 27th. For this time, Turkey is not doing anything except arresting all the opposition that is not under control and not part of any political group, has nobody to fight for. Their families are left behind. They don't know what's going on, nobody to defend the rights. And this is what Turkey is doing right now with Egyptians. For what happened in Dubai, it will not stay in Dubai. My case miraculously changed from Interpol to AIMC. Both of them are given political covers, in my opinion, to inappropriate and out of control terrorist activities by member countries, conducted by member countries under the political cover of Interpol, with the Arabic president on top of it, who has history of torture and misuse of power. Now the Interpol is out of control organization. Watch out. They went after us in our own countries. Now all the opposition in our original countries are in jail. They are done with those guys. Now they're looking at us outside of their territories and jurisdiction to target us and arrest us and bring us to that bottomless jails. Next, it's gonna be you guys. It's gonna be you in the West. It's gonna be you in Europe and America. You're gonna be a reporter. You're gonna be arrested in the Arabic nations, and it's gonna be with the same claims that we have now. But because you decided to quiet and hush hush and make good money at your press without talking about that and bringing it up, you're gonna be next. So this is a warning, a shout out, and we're doing it out of Geneva, out of the press club here.
Thank you, Sharif. We have now a question in Arabic, and I don't want to essentially embarrass myself with my poor pronunciation. But we also have a question in English, so I'll ask that one, and if the person who's put the question in Arabic could translate it into the chat, that would be great. We have about 5 minutes left, so I think just those two questions. So we have, this question doesn't have a name, but it says, is there any opportunity for cooperation of Arab opponents abroad? I think that is probably a question for Sharif. Perhaps we could limit the answer to about a minute or two.
It's not going to take long. I don't think it's a good idea. I think the best thing is, based on my own experience, don't be individual. Work in groups, work under organization, have registered organization in the country that you're residing in, and you can pour down any other nation. Don't make it all Arabs. Have locals, have activists, have college students at the countries that you're in. Have them come with you, train with you, be the front men and women of you. You don't have to be in Arabic, all Arab organizations run by Arabs. You have to involve other individuals too, to help them with their experience and their presentation, to be part with the society that you're living in and be able to integrate and assimilate and live a life of a normal person outside of the crazy countries that we originally came from.